in here. And we want to call to order the Planning Commission of the City of Paris at this time.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Here.
Commissioner Gomez, Vice Chair Shively, Chair Hammond.
Here. Thank you very much. At this time, will we stand, just have a brief moment of silence. I would like to say in tribute to, post-tribute to the Memorial Day that we had and to the veterans. So if we could just take a moment of silence to recognize those veterans. And we do that as a city very well. I will say that. But if we would stand at this time, and we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Jimenez. At this time, we come to presentation. I don't believe there's one. And we come to 6th consent calendar. Planning Commission minutes for May 18, 2022. Were there any corrections, additions, deletions from any other commissioners? Okay. At this time, we want to open up public comment on the consent calendar, if anyone would like to come forward, or on Zoom. We do have Zoom still. For the consent calendar, now would be the time. Okay. Seeing none, we bring it back to commission, and if someone would like to make a motion.
Commissioner Hammond, there was one at the...
consent calendar?
Yes, one for the consent calendar. Miss Tia
sorry.
Riggins,
Okay.
you are unmuted and you have the floor, miss.
Yes, I'm here in response to opening Ethanac Road for trucks.
Hold on. We were talking about the consent calendar. Just the consent calendar. The Planning Commission minutes for May 18th, 2022. 6A. Was that comment directed to the Planning Commission minutes?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. Once again, we bring it back to the commission. It's almost for motion by Commissioner Lopez is moved and seconded. Seconded by Vice Chairman Shively.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With the vote of 4 yes, this motion passes.
Thank you very much. And we move to item 7A, public hearing. Development Plan Review, DPR 21-00017. And tentative parcel map 38362, TPM 22-05032. A proposal to subdivide a 1.8 acre vacant parcel into 2 parcels to facilitate the development of 2 business park warehouse buildings, 12,883 square feet and 15,841 square feet, located at the northeast corner of East Ryder Street and Johnson Avenue within the Paris Valley Commerce Center's specific plan, Pvcc Light Industrial Zone. Assessor parcel number 303-130-021. Applicant Mario Calvillo, Lee and Associates. Requested action, adopt resolution number 22-15, finding the project categorically exempt from CEQA under section 15332, class 32 infill development, and approved developmental plan review 21-00017 and tentative parcel map 38362, 22-05032, to subdivide a 1.8 acre lot into 2 parcels to develop 2 business park warehouse buildings totaling 28,724 square feet, located at the northeast corner of Ryder Street and Johnson Avenue, and subject to the conditions of approval. And we have Mr. Ryan Griffin, ready for our presentation.
Good evening, Chair Hammond and members of the Planning Commission. I'm Ryan Griffiths, and I'm presenting item 7A for the MS Ryder development at Ryder and Johnson. Taking a look at the site and the zoning, the site is zoned Pvcc light industrial. It is part of the Paris Business Park that has come before you in the future or in the past. The applicant has provided, I believe, 4 different projects along Paris here that you have seen and approved. This follows that trend. This is at the site, standing directly on the corner, looking east, down Ryder Street. You can see there's an existing sidewalk, curb gutter. There's also fire hydrants and streetlights. This is taking a look from the center of the site, looking south, so across Ryder Street. You can see there's an existing median there, and there's also a large industrial building. This is taking a look from the sidewalk on Ryder Street looking north. This is another large industrial building there.
Thank you.
And this is standing on the sidewalk along Ryder Street looking west as well. And you can see the existing fire hydrant there as long as the street improvements.
Let me stop, and I made a mistake. Was there any ex parte communication, how you did get me, ex parte communication or site visits to this particular site?
I have driven by the site.
This is Commissioner Jimenez. I drive by the site all the time.
Mr. Shively, I've been by the house, by the site several times.
Yes, drove by the site. Thank you very much. Not perfect up here, okay?
All right, moving on to the site plan for the project. As you can see, there are 2 small business park warehouses. Building 1 is 12,883 square feet, and building 2 is 15,841 square feet. There are 2 driveway entrances. There's the one on the bottom right, which would be on Ryder Street. That is a right in and right out. The other one is going to be along Johnson Avenue there. That is full motion, and it does have a restriction if there are any trucks. They would have to make a left in and a right out. Speaking about trucks on this project is not meant for semi-trucks. It does not have any loading dock doors. It basically just has a couple roll-up doors. So it would be intended for transit vans or your smaller box trucks. And that area would be in the center of this, between the 2 buildings. The blue line represents a new decorative 10-foot block wall, which will screen kind of that loading parking area in the center. There's a 9-foot wrought iron gate on both sides that would open that has the metal mesh so you can't see through it as well. If you look at the top, the yellow is an existing 9-foot decorative block wall from the existing industrial building to the north. There also are, a little hard to see here, but in the corners of the buildings, there are small outdoor patio amenities for each building as well. There are, let's see here, there's 16% of the site is landscaped. The requirement is 12%, so they exceed that by 4%. And the site does provide 37 parking stalls, which is more than what is required. Taking a look at the Pvcc LI development standards, it meets the standards for lot coverage, building FAR, building height, setbacks from both Ryder and Johnson, and as well as internal setbacks as well. Taking a look at the parking standards, it would require 33 spaces, basically 10 spaces for the office space and 23 for the industrial area. They are providing 37, so they have 4 additional parking spaces. Taking a look at the elevations, and I believe I passed a board before I came back here to Jack, so he can kind of move that around, unless he's already done it. But taking a look, these would be the elevations for Building 1. The colors and materials are very similar to the previous projects that have been approved. Those were all along North Paris Boulevard, so it follows the same kind of trend that those buildings had. And this would be the elevations for Building 2. The only difference for Building 2 is that it has 3 roll-up dock doors instead of 2. So it has the 2 on the internal, and then it has 1 facing east, but that would be screened, so you wouldn't be able to necessarily see that loading door. Overall, staff recommendation is to adopt resolution number 22-15, recommending that the Planning Commission find the project exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15.332 for class 32 infill development, and approving development plan review 21-0017 and tentative parcel map 38362, TPM 2205032, based on the findings contained in the resolution and attached exhibits and conditions of approval. That concludes my presentation. I'm here. The applicant, Mario Calvillo, and his engineer, Dane Summers, are also here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
Chairman Hammond, just one clarification. What did you see in the slide? The staff recommendation should be adopt resolution 2215 finding the project exempt instead of saying the recommending the plan commission find the project. So I just want to make that clarification. It's correct in the staff report and in the agenda title, but just in this last slide, I just want to make that small note that is to adopt resolution find the projects exempt.
Yeah, so my apologies. So basically, you guys would be the approving body. You wouldn't be recommending it. You would be finding it exempt.
Okay, I think it shows it in the adopt resolution. It shows finding the project. I think, okay. The other one is recommending, but that's the staff report part. So, okay. I'm looking at finding here, adopt resolution. Okay, thank you. Okay. Sorry, is there any questions for staff regarding this project at this time?
Not at the moment.
Hey, Ryan.
Okay.
Quick question. Would you go back to, okay, I like this slide. You said there's 37 parking stalls. Are they considering the ones in between both buildings parking stalls, or where would you be able to identify where all the parking stalls are?
Yeah, so each building would have more of its own dedicated parking near the offices, so along on the left side and then also the right side. In between there also are parking. So if they do, say they have transit vans associated with it, they could park them behind that area. So if you're driving by, you won't see a box truck or a transit van. They would be screened behind that wall. So those parking spaces are taken into consideration as well for the overall project. And the parcel map basically splits right in the center there where those parking spaces be, so each building would be on its own parcel.
And would it still meet, I guess my question is, would it still meet the parking requirements? Because if those are for transit vehicles and things, would the identified each location parking stalls, do you think that's enough to support the employees?
Yes, for the office requirement, it only requires 10 between both buildings. And those parking spaces aren't necessarily required to be for transit vans. It's just giving that flexibility. Well, if the tenant does require, has some company vehicles, they can store them where they'd be safe, and they'd also be screened from the public.
Perfect, thank you.
That was Commissioner Jimenez. I'm sorry for those on Zoom. Anyone else? Vice Chair Shively.
Yeah, do you know if the applicant wishes to perhaps sell each one or rent both of these units? Or is it potential that they divided the parcel into two, so are they planning to perhaps do that because of lease agreements or because they plan on intended to sell the properties individually?
I'm not sure. I'm sure the applicant can clarify further, but I believe the intent would be the same as the other buildings that they have, but they can comment on that further.
And if that's the case, is there a fence or anything dividing between the two parking spaces in between the two buildings?
There is not.
Thank you.
You have another one? Okay. Commissioner Jimenez?
This is for a city engineer. The parking lot isn't on Johnson Street. Is that far enough from Ryder to, because it's a full access, right? It's right in, left out for passenger vehicles.
Good evening, Commissioners. The driveway on Johnson, we actually indicated that that's going to be designated for trucks, for the trucks that they're going to have.
But not really
That's not
with
the case.
transit vans.
Okay. Yeah, there'd be full movement for both trucks and autos.
And you looked at the distance between Ryder Street and where that driveway is, and
The
it's safe to make a
spacing-
left out?
The spacing between, correct, because that's a local street, so the spacing is adequate.
Okay, perfect. And there won't be any big rigs here. Do you know why they preferred where that existing 9-foot decorative block wall, why they didn't continue that decorative block wall and went with wrought iron fence?
So I'm not sure. I know that was for the previous development to the north, and I believe it might have been. I don't know. Kenneth might know a little more about the background.
Yes, that was actually one of my projects when I was a younger planner. So the reason why the block wall ended was because that's after the truck security area or truck parking area. Beyond that point where the block wall stops is where the detention basin is at. So typically we run the detention basin, we require wrought iron. That's why it stops at that point.
Perfect. So the wrought iron fence looks onto the basin and not like a warehouse or anything else.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Commissioner Lopez?
Commissioner Lopez, I have a question in regards to the parking lot. Are you guys including EV charging stations for the employees?
I believe there are. Let's see. I believe there's 4 EV charging stations. So two for each building. Yes.
Okay. Also, in regards to the design of the building, you said that correlates with the buildings on Paris Boulevard.
Correct. Yes. The ones that were previously approved have the basic same architecture, colors, and materials. So
Exactly the
everything
same.
would be flowing.
Okay.
And that also goes with landscaping as well. So it would tie in what's along North Paris that you guys approved ties into this building as well.
Okay. Perfect. And another question in regards to the trees. If the applicant is willing to put 36-inch box planters.
I think we can work with them and try to figure that out. But that can also be a question you can ask with them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Jimenez again. Sorry. For the trash collection, are we thinking the trash collecting truck is going to come in on Ryder? Does it matter? They'll have full access, right? Because there's wrought iron fences that are blocking the view. They'll have full access. Do you know if they have full range of movement to empty out the trash?
Yes, so there should be adequate room so they can pull in, load, and they can back out, back through where the gate would be, and then they can pull to the next one. That way, I mean, the trash enclosures do also match the architectural styling of the buildings, but there just really wasn't anywhere else to put them. And this way, it also makes it where no one can try to go through the trash can since they'll be behind that wall as well. But there should be no issues with that movement.
I was going to ask about that, but because they're an enclosed section, there's nothing really in the back. It really isn't a potential for anybody to go back there. That was it for me, I think, for now.
Lively, are we okay?
I have another question.
Sure.
Um,
Commissioner Lopez?
Commissioner Lopez, do you know if this project is including solar panels, or if not, if the applicant is willing to include them?
I don't believe it currently does, but you can ask the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. One for staff, I think. Well, 2 things. One may be a futuristic thing. Johnson Avenue has no designation that says Johnson Avenue. So we're just saying that it's Johnson Avenue. There's no sign, there's no posting. There's nothing on Johnson Avenue saying it's Johnson Avenue. I just didn't know their area, you just go right by it. The street over, there is. But for some reason, there's never been a public works sign there that says Johnson Avenue so that we can designate to turn in there, because that would have to, I'm just surprised, because it's been there a while. So that's one of the things. Clarification, too. I think it clarifies on this site plan that we're looking at, there's a 30-foot driveway width. There's another site plan map that shows 20 feet. Now, obviously, we're looking at the 30 feet, so we're going to take, this will take precedent. Engineering report says the driveway on Ryder Street shall be designated for auto access only. This right in, right out, but on the map it has commercial vehicle and auto. So we're saying that the one on Ryder Street is auto access only. and we're saying Johnson is truck. Now, we're not talking about the big rigs, so I could see there might be a variation there, but just want to make sure they jive. My thing is more that both are jiving with each other. So one says one thing, one says another. So obviously the one on Ryder is auto access. The other to the north, obviously, is going to be truck. So I just want to make sure that the maps are all saying the same thing there. Other than that, I think that was that one clarification. Yeah, I think that was it. Nothing really more to add. I think, I think they covered it. To answer questions, I think you asked the question I was going to ask. So pretty much that's it for me. Any more discussion with staff at this time? Yeah, they covered all my questions.
I had a question.
Oh, Mr. Lopez.
I saw on the diagram it said a 29-foot height. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what exactly is the height with the building across the street? I don't know if you, for the record.
I don't. Are you talking about the larger industrial
Yeah,
buildings?
exactly.
They're like what, 40? I'm not sure.
If I recall correctly, they're a little taller. I think they're 36 to 38, so these are a little shorter just because they're...
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any further questions for staff at this time? Thank you very much, Ryan. He goes back and does his other duty, right? This time, if the applicant would like to come forward and make a presentation, not forced to, but if you'd like to, just state your name and spell your last name for us. We know what it is, but we just want it for the record.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, staff, my name is Mario Calvillo, C-A-L, V as in Victor, I-L-L-O. Just wanted to say thanks to staff and everyone who's worked hard on this project, and we mimicked and took lessons from the other one, so we hope we got it right, and we're just excited to get started.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah.
I had a question in regards to the solar panels. If you guys aren't including them, I was wondering if you're open to adding that to the project.
I think the solar panels, we would be considerate. It does go affect the structural design of the roofs. I don't know if they currently are designed to handle the solar systems because they weren't part of our conditions to begin with, but happen to explore it if we're able to, and as long as we're able to wait to the tenant comes. Some tenant may want them, some may not want, but combination of all of those, we're willing to work with staff, if it's viable and if the current structure of the roofs can handle it at this point.
So you would have to talk to the tenant to see if they want to before you even move forward with it.
Well, us as a developer generally wouldn't put them in if it's not required as a condition.
Oh, okay, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and so, but we would be open to it, but at the moment, they're not considered.
Okay, all right, thank you.
When,
Commissioner Scheibler.
the question I did have earlier for Mr. Ryan was, is it intended for you to sell one or two parcels off, or are you still planning on leasing both parcels, or you just subdivided it for leasing reasons?
The intent is to provide the best exit strategy, and that would be to have the two parcels created. We could keep both parcels, lease them. At the same time, we find if there's a local tenant or owner that wants to occupy a building and buy their own building as opposed to lease it, we have that availability as well.
Thank you.
I had another question. In regards to the trees, you guys have two trees that are 24 inch boxes. Are you willing to upgrade them to 36 inches?
Two trees that are 24
Yeah.
up to 36.
Two of the trees, it's Chitalpa and Marina strawberry tree.
I would have no objections to that as long as the spacing because the 36 inches.
It's a whole foot, yeah.
They get a lot bigger and what they have to dig. I'm not the Einstein of all that, but if it's viable, then I won't have any objections. But if the landscaper or someone says we don't have the room to put the 36,
Yeah.
then we've tried, but we may not be able to. But if we can, I will.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Commissioner Jimenez.
Commissioner Jimenez. I know you said that. I want to repeat my name. There is nothing currently that is separating the both buildings and that parking that's in the middle. Are there any preventative measures from now both buildings will have access to that space. So no, there's nothing really to deter building 2 from parking in the spots that are closer to building 1.
I would need to double check. I think there is a fence that divides down the middle, but I can double check our plans, but that would separate one building from the other. So I think there might be a fence there.
Okay, and if there isn't, would you be open to setting one up? I'm just
Absolutely.
thinking,
Yes.
prevent a lot of issues in the future. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Shively? Okay. You almost made it, right?
Oh,
Hey,
got
thank
one?
you. I'm
You got
good.
one too?
I'm good. I was just
Okay.
playing. At this time, we open it up for public comment, and we would like to keep your comments to 3 minutes. I think if we have any Zoom people for this particular project.
Yes, Commissioner
Okay, so
Hammond.
we'll
Sorry
start
to
with
cut you
them.
off there.
Okay.
I'd like to remind the folks in public comment that this is for relevant items to this item. Janet Bernabe, you have the floor, miss.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Janet Bernabe. I am a resident from the city of Paris. I am very, very familiar with where this is going to be located, the project itself. I think my only concern was, and I didn't hear any of the commissioners bring up, was the 3 or 4 homes that are already located on Ryder. I'm wondering if the homeowners or renters have already been reached out to see, that the project's going to be coming in. But just concerning because I know that they already have a warehouse behind them, and now they're going to have a warehouse right next, well, looking at it from the south to the north, they're going to have another warehouse on their left. So they're technically going to be boxed in because they have another warehouse in front of them, one in the back and one to the side. So I'm assuming it's not going to be too long until another warehouse gets approved on the other side. So I'm really concerned, what the homeowners or the renters are, have they been reached out to? How is that going to look like? And how far is the actual, I'm going to say, how far of a distance is the community going to have like a buffer in between the project and the community? Because, they're there. We cannot not ignore the fact that they're there. So that's technically one of my concerns. I know this project is exempt from CEQA because, it is a smaller parcel, but my concern is the community, have they been reached out to in reference to this project? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else for Zoom?
Commissioner Hammond, it doesn't look like there is.
Okay. Anyone from the public like to speak or come to the platform at this time? Okay. And we close the public comment portion. We'd like to, opportunity for the applicant, you thought you were going to get me this time, for the applicant to respond if you choose. You can respond if you like. Just state your full name. That's
Sure. Mario Calvillo
Okay.
again, and we relied on the city when working through them with staff, and I assume that through their public notices that they've been contacted and addressed. So I would ask staff if they've heard any response from the neighbors, but we've relied on that public comment.
Thank you very much. Staff would like to.
Ryan, I don't believe we received any notice. It would have been included as part of the package. There are 2 properties that are adjacent to the site that's legal non-conforming, and so they were notified regarding the project. I personally worked with the property to the east that's legal non-conforming when the industrial project to the north developed, and they got that 9-foot high wall. We actually increased the height of that wall because of the neighborhood, the neighbors' consultation with staff. So they should have been fully aware of what's going on here. So there's no directly residential zone land other than maybe about 300 feet to the west of the site. But if anybody within 300 feet would have been notified in this particular situation.
Yeah, that is correct, and I did not receive any comments from any members of the public.
Okay. Thank you very much. No more from staff? Okay. This time, we close the public hearing and we go to discussion by the commission members. Where you go? Oh. Either way.
This is Commissioner Lopez. I appreciate the details and the setback of this project. It's a larger setback, I noticed, and the height as well. I know Ryder is a highly, it has a high traffic, especially with the residents, so a higher setback, a larger setback, and lower height will create less presence in that area. And I also like the inclusion of the trees right along Ryder. I know that's gonna create like a good barrier between the traffic and the project itself. I would like to see solar panels added to this project. I know it's not a condition, but it's something that I would like to see for these types of projects as well. I do like the inclusion of the EV charging stations. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Did I get it right? He knew.
I also really appreciated that the color scheme, the architecture matches with what is already there. I agree with Ms. Bernabe, even though they're non-compliance houses, we still have to be sensitive to, there are people living there, so I think that setback is gonna help. I also think the trees will help kind of break up looking at a just tall gray building. So I hope that helps. And I want to see, I think I remember seeing that there was a buffer, right, for the sidewalk, or is the sidewalk up against the street? I don't remember. I know we tried to ask for buffers in the past, but yeah, the sidewalk's already built, right? So we couldn't add a,
Yeah, they're going to match the existing because there's existing
continues.
sidewalks out there.
okay, that's what I remember, but I do like that there's a lot of landscaping. I think the 16% landscaping really is gonna break it up. I appreciate the attention to detail that although it isn't gonna be semis that are in there, travel vehicles are still gonna be covered. And there was a lot of thought put into it, even the adding of the aesthetic onto the driveway as you're driving into the property. I really appreciate that there is a staff recreation area or little break area outside, even though it wasn't necessary for them to have. And there's one for each building. So there was a lot of thought put into there. I know Ryan listens to what we say, especially because he's taking notes. So there was a lot of attention to detail. There was a lot of application of things that we would have requested either way. So, and giving the narrowness of the building, I think we did a lot, or you did a lot with what was there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Shively, Vice Chair Shively, I should say.
Thank you. It would be nice to see the inclusion of solar panels on this project. I would agree. Currently, it's not a requirement as per code. There is currently what the code says is that the commercial developments have to provide a 10% solar-ready requirement on the roof. That is a requirement plus a solar. Electrically, they have to provide additional solar, a circuit for the electrical panel for that. Next code cycle, however, is much different, where they actually have to provide the solar on the roof. So it will be required in the future. The aesthetics of the building, of course, it fits the area, and to the adjacent properties, the same color scheme was used, and it looks like it's even the same color, if I remember correctly. Might even be the same shades and tones there. I think because of the use, these are smaller warehouse spaces or industrial spaces, I think there should be an inclusion on the site that actually includes posting of sign that says no semi-trucks available for deliveries. Should be posted on both entrances. I think would be appropriate for this property, especially because of the location. For that, that's all I have.
Okay. Did you want them to respond on that?
No.
Staff? Okay. I mean, the staff. Staff's choice.
In terms of posting, I think we could put some signs out there. I think there's small signs that could be put that could work.
Okay. Lastly, I won't belabor it. I think the design, I appreciate the fact that it's tying into the other properties. You know, this isn't going to be a green line, colorful rainbow. It ties into what's already there. So I appreciate the design. Not a whole lot of space to do it, but I think it's about as well as it can be. One of the key things, even though you may have requirements for solar, I'm not sure if this is in the airport landing area, and if it is, you're going to have to take that consideration on almost every occasion, and that may nix a lot of things. So that is a consideration, obviously, would have to be added. If you're going to put it on the roof, there's no glare going towards planes. So that's kind of a standard reason that kind of make it hard in the city to put things in that room. Elsewhere, it's no problem. It's just as long as it's not in the flight plan, and that's the consideration. But that would be an add-on to any solar panels, is to ensure that it's not, the reflectors are done in such a way that it would not cause a glare for the airports. That's the last thing you want to hear from them. Other than that, I'm fine with the design. I don't have any issues with this project at all. Other projects, of course, have been well done, and this is just another case. I do agree that anything that people that live next door, even though it's legal non-conforming, want to make sure that we do have buffer area to that, and that's a consideration. Despite the fact that it is legal non-conforming, we still want to pay attention to the fact that there are people living there. Now, the fortunate thing is not gigantic semi-trucks, and they wouldn't be able to fit in this radius anyway. So, but I appreciate the fact that even something like that, you want to take that into consideration. But I'm good, and I really don't have anything else to add. Anyone else?
So it is a requirement if the applicant wishes to provide solar panels, that is, glare study needs to be required and provided. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We're good.
Do you want me to clarify the conditions that I heard?
Okay, go ahead.
So there would be a condition that they would be required to provide solar up to the certain percentage. We'll work out the percentage. Code requirement.
Code is that it's currently 10% solar ready.
So you just say 10% solar completed. I mean, assumption along that lines. No semi-parking signage. And then to provide a fencing between the two parcels. And then to add 36-inch box trees for all the trees as deemed appropriate after subject to staff review.
Perfect. So I'm glad you said it. Okay. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, did you want me to clarify what the action would be, or I have nothing to add?
Those would be the four would be added on
Okay.
to, I don't think we had any other changes. Yeah.
So you're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 22-15, finding the project categorically exempt from CEQA
Right.
under Section 15332, Class 32 infill development, and approve DPR 21-00017 and tentative parcel map, 38362, to subdivide a 1.8 acre lot into two parcels to develop two business park warehouse buildings totaling 28,724 square feet located at the northeast corner of Ryder Street and Johnson Avenue, and subject to the conditions of approval as amended, as stated earlier, with the four conditions that are being amended onto the project.
Yes. Thank you. And at this time, do we have a motion? It's been moved by Commissioner Jimenez, seconded by Commissioner Lopez.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With the vote of 4 yes, this motion passes.
This one, okay. Thank you very much. And we move on to item 7B.
Commissioner Hammond, before you continue, can I need to, would like to speak to the attorney real fast, related to item 7B.
Okay, so can we have just a quick 3-minute, 2-minute? Okay, 2-minute reset.
Good, huh? The starburst. Nah, that's my best one. True. Oh, at starburst, thank you. There's a lot of them right here.
You settled? Thank you very much. We come back to order. We're starting item 7B, Ordinance Amendment 22-05069 and General Plan Amendment 22-05068. An ordinance amendment of removing Parish Municipal Code 10.42.030 and 10.42.040 and making consistent changes to Parish Municipal Code 10.42.2020 related to permits for trucks, truck trailers, and certain commercial vehicles parking on city streets, alleys, and residential areas. Amending a Parish Municipal Code Chapter 10.40 and the circulation element text and maps related to truck routes in South Paris to be consistent policies directing truck routes away from residential areas along Ethanac Road and Getz Road. The applicant is the City of Paris. Requested action, adopt resolution number 22-14, recommending the City Council adopt negative declaration 2372 and approve ordinance amendment 22-05069 and general plan amendment 22-05068. First, is there any ex parte communication, any side business, or anything we need to declare at this moment?
Commissioner Jimenez, I've driven by the site. What location?
Yeah, okay.
This is Commissioner Lopez. I also drive through that area.
I frequently drive that area as well.
Yes, I do as well, on the way to Winco. Okay. Also, what I want to do is note that we did receive a memorandum, Planning Commissioners, Nathan Perez, Senior Planner, May 31st, 2022. Item 7B, follow-up city response letters, additional objection letters, and emails in support of the Ethanac Road truck removal designation. What I would like to request, and I'm going to get the permission of our group here, is that we take a 25 or 20-minute recess to read through this, since there's a lot of material, and we want to be very specific concerning that. So 25?
25, can we do, yeah, 25.
Okay, we will stay right here, we're not moving on. So I know, but we want to make sure we are completely fair, and so we would like to do that at this time. We're going to go through as much as we can.
Mr. Chair, that's a 25-minute recess.
25. Okay. So I don't even know what time it is now. 6:52, okay. We may get through sooner, but we have.
and the other is to remove provisions for truck permits within residential and commercial areas. Also, the project includes a general plan amendment to revise and update the truck route map within the general plan circulation element, which you're going to be able to see later on tonight. Some background information. To protect commercial and residential neighborhoods, in 1972, Paris Chapter 10.40 was adopted by the City Council, which established truck routes within the City of Paris. During that time, Paris was mostly undeveloped, a rural agricultural community, which is completely opposite what we see today. Paris is currently becoming more urbanized, more developed. Since then, the city has strategically been conditioning industrial projects away from residential commercial areas since 2010 as an informal policy. And also, most recently, early this year, the City Council approved an update to the city's designated truck routes along North Paris, which also includes the Paris Commerce Center specific plan area. Two of the major changes was to remove Paris Boulevard and also Ramona Expressway as a truck route. So to further ensure that truck traffic continues to be directed away from residential zones and commercial zones, staff proposes the following changes to Evans Road, Case Road, Getz Road, and also Ethanac Road. And in the next couple slides, I will go through each of the 4 truck routes in detail and pretty much explain why we're updating these routes. So the first truck route we will discuss is Evans Road, which is located between Nuevo Road and Orange Avenue. This section is more of a cleanup item to pretty much remove a remnant truck route. Staff recommends removing this segment since it's not a functional truck route, and also it's surrounded by several residential communities and also a high school. And also there isn't any residential zone property within 4 miles. So that's why we're recommending to remove this as a truck route. The second amendment is Case Road, which includes removing Case Road from Paris Boulevard to G Street, which is shown in the green box, which would divert truck traffic away from the Paris downtown specific plan area. And the second part is to add a designated truck route from G Street to Case Road, which is in harmony with the South Paris Industrial Project, which was approved by the City Council in 2010. The South Paris Industrial Project consisted, if you may remember, I know Commissioner Hammond might remember, it consisted roughly around 7 million square feet of industrial in 3 project locations, which are shown in the gray boxes, which are along Getz Road at Mapes Road, Getz Road at Mountain Avenue, and Ellis at Redlands Avenue. The South Paris Industrial was conditioned to route truck traffic north of Getz Road to Ellis, south along Case Road to the I-215 freeway. And overall, by adding this truck route, it will pretty much solidify the South Paris Industrial's conditions and route truck traffic away from South Paris and also downtown Paris, the downtown Paris area. Next, we have Getz Road, and this update includes the removal of 2 sections of Getz Road as a truck route to include the southerly segment from the San Jacinto River all the way down to Ethanac Road, and the northerly segment, which is from Case Road to Ellis Avenue, which would direct also truck traffic away from residential areas from South Paris and also downtown Paris area. This updated truck route promotes the city's policy to route truck traffic north along Getz Road to Case Road to the I-215 freeway. And also, I'd like to also mention, it should be noted, that no industrial property is located south of the San Jacinto River within the city of Paris. And the last proposal is Ethanac Road. The update includes the removal of Ethanac as a truck route from the westerly city limits to Barnett Road as depicted in the green box. The removal of this segment as a truck route is consistent with the city's policy to direct all truck traffic north along Getz Road, east along Ellis, down to Case Road, down to the I-215 freeway. Also, please note that this portion of the truck route will remain, there's a certain portion that will remain of Ethanac Road as a truck route from Barnett Road all the way down to the easterly city limits. And the reason why we did this is to provide a potential truck route connection for the city of Menifee to the I-215 freeway. And that's the reason why we left it. So to complement all the proposed changes, an ordinance amendment is also included to remove Paris Municipal Code 10.42030 related to residential truck permits in residential areas and also commercial areas. And since the adoption of this code in 1972, yes, that was a pretty much long time ago, the city has no records of any issued permits applications for truck parking in residential areas. By deleting this code section, it would prohibit truck parking in residential areas and eliminate truck traffic to and from residential zone properties. Also, to further confirm, city staff conducted a survey which included 5 cities and also the county of Riverside to see if there were any provisions or permits for semi-truck parking within residential areas. And our survey confirmed that none of these jurisdictions, as shown here, have any permits to allow trucks to be parked in residential areas. Now, the City of Paris initially received 3 letters from NAOP, which is Inland Empire Chapter, Compass Danby Realty Estate Partners, LLC, and Cato Menifee, LLC. And they pretty much expressed opposition for the removal of Ethanac as a designated truck route. They stated that it would be in conflict with the City of Menifee's Northern Economic Development Corridor, and that's why they're opposing, to this amendment. Also, based on that, staff drafted a formal response letter to both NAOP, Compass Danby Real Estate, and Cato, which was provided before you tonight, which you reviewed, thoroughly reviewed. Also, staff also received 2 additional letters from the City of Menifee and Rudin Tucker LLP, and staff has reviewed both letters with the city's environmental consultant, Michael Brown, and legal counsel, and determined that the letters do not change the staff's conclusion that a negative declaration has been appropriately prepared and does not warrant recirculation of the negative declaration. So if the commission has any questions concerning the environmental portion, we have our consultant, Michael Brown, to answer questions if you have questions for him. Now, there was a lot of residents in support of this. Staff would like to let the Planning Commission know that we received a total of 18 letters of support or emails of support from City of Paris residents for the removal of Ethanac as a truck route. And a copy of each letter was provided to the commission, which you also reviewed, which is before you. Some of the residents' concerns in preserving Ethanac as a truck route range from safety hazards, lower quality of life, truck traffic, pollution, damaged roads, noise and vibrations caused by truck traffic along Ethanac Road. Based on these responses, there is strong community support to remove Ethanac as a truck route. However, I would like to point out that only a part of Ethanac will be removed from the westerly city limits all the way down to Barnett Road. So in conclusion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 22, or actually 20, it should have been 2214, recommending that the city recommending that the City Council adopt the initial study
Negative Declaration 2372, and approve Ordinance Amendment 22-05069 and General Plan Amendment 22-05068. And this concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. And also, we have Michael Brown to answer any questions that you might have concerning the environmental portion.
Thank you very much. Was there any other city presentation? Yeah. Any questions? Oh, I should note, I'm just paralleling that we did get these documents, and he did read off all the particular things here for the record. So I don't need to repeat that, but we appreciate. And I do appreciate that you're giving us the time to read through it at least, even though we're not speed readers as much as we could. At this time, are there any questions of staff at all concerning the proposal before us, the ordinance amendment and general plan amendment? Okay, Commissioner Lopez.
This is Commissioner Lopez. My question was in regards to Ethanac Road. Can we go back to the slide, the satellite view? It looks like all that land, what is it? There's no industrial buildings in that area that are currently using that road as a truck route. Are there?
There's no industrial projects in Paris along Ethanac Road, whether east or west of Barnett, including if you head west to the county of Riverside, west of the Wesley city boundary. There's no industrial right now currently.
So if we remove that, it's not going to hinder any of the standing sites?
Not in Paris. The city of Menifee has a designation of economic development corridor on the south side of Ethanac that's designated for potential business park or industrial. If you see in those letters, you can just in brief summary, and I'll let our secret consultant comment on this, but we believe that there's other options for them to get to the 215 freeway by using Barnett and then Ethanac east of that segment. And they can use their internal city streets too.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Okay. Vice Chair Shively.
Can you tell us when City of Menifee created that commercial zone, the NEDC?
2012?
I believe in discussion with Menifee was established in 2012. We're still looking at asking from them for information when that was developed and to gather that information. But in discussion with them, it was developed 2012 or 2013.
All of Ethanac along north, all the property north of Ethanac is currently residential zoned, including low-res, from the west side of what would be Winco all the way down to Getz Road, and then further north to San Jacinto River, all the way to Case Road, I believe it is, if I recall. That is correct, right?
That's correct. There's a small 3 or 5 acres commercial at Getz and Ethanac Road, the northeast corner, but the remaining area is residential, and it has been residential since back to the 1990s, early 1990s, when the Green Valley Specific Plan was adopted.
And then the portion that along Getz Road, the southern portion, will stop perhaps at the San Jacinto River Bridge on Getz Road?
That's correct. And the reason why we did it up to that point is because of the South Paris Industrial Project, which is shown in this exhibit there.
I'll come back with additional questions.
Commissioner Jimenez.
Thank you, Nathan. Quick clarifying questions on where you have the green section highlighted. The northern portion of Getz Road, the blue, that's going to be removed, right?
That's correct.
I just
That's-
want to clarify that yellow line, it's going to end at Ellis, right? It seems to be overlapping a little bit to the north, or is there?
It's going to start from G Street and continue all the way down to the I-215 freeway.
Would you clarify why it would go up to G Street?
Along G Street, along the east side is Zone Employment Plaza, so it could allow manufacturing, or small-scale warehousing. We left that there because there's a potential possibility that something could go on the east side of G Street, so that's why we stop it at the G Street point.
Perfect, thank you. Another clarifying question. I noticed that Menifee will not be blocked access, right? They will still have access to the 215 between, what is it, Barrett Road? Barnett.
Barnett.
Right, so they will still have access to the 215, just it wouldn't be on Ethanac, they would have to be rerouted, right?
Exactly. So essentially, they'll be able to use Barnett, but they won't be able to go westbound on Ethanac.
Okay, they would just have to go to the 215, go over to that street and take the 215?
That's correct.
Okay. Also, one of the letters, I would just like to be on the record that they did identify that one of their concerns for our city was that we would have more miles traveled by big rigs in our city according to their study. But I know we had a CEQA study done. Would we be able to go into detail about how that was possibly considered, or how we?
Refer that to Michael Brown.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Commissioner Jimenez, yes, as Nathan discussed in his presentation, the main issue for that area are the industrial uses in the South Paris industrial areas. And it started in 2010 when the South Paris Industrial Project was approved. And going back before that, as Kenneth talked about, the Green Valley Specific Plan area was adopted in 1990. Right. So that's why the city then took a look at South Paris Industrial and said, you're not going south. So those projects were conditioned to go north and then down Case. The impacts associated with those actions were evaluated in the EIR for those projects and subsequently evaluated in some follow-up addendums for revisions to those projects that have occurred over the years. So basically, the condition there for South Paris Industrial and other future industrial projects going there is that that's part of the existing conditions. That's what the city is doing right now. That's what they are conditioning projects to do. For the projects, the project that would be most effective is the southernmost parcel of the South Paris Industrial. It is the furthest from Ellis Road. It has to go north. And like I say, that's already been evaluated and it's part of the existing conditions for the city. Any other existing or future industrial use in that industrial area, it's actually shorter for them to drive down Case Road than it is to go down Getz and then across Ethanac.
Perfect. That's what I was thinking. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you for clarifying.
Michael, before you leave.
Commissioner Shively.
So, with the reports that you've had received, what is the true impact of the northerly residents along Ethanac with keeping a truck route along Ethanac Road? What's the impact that those residents on the northern side would have?
Okay, well, first of all, the negative declaration did not evaluate impacts to existing conditions, if you will, saying what it is. But what is the current effect if we were to leave it there is that the residents of the Green Valley Specific Plan area are exposed to higher noise levels because trucks are louder than cars. They're exposed to the emissions, the diesel emissions from the trucks, and they are exposed to greater vibration levels, as Commissioner Jimenez touched upon earlier on the other project. Just slower traffic, if you will, along that segment because we have trucks. The other thing is that about 4 or 5 years ago, the city implemented a median project in Ethanac. And that was, even though the roadway is shared with Menifee, the city of Paris was the only participant in that project. The turn movements, or I should say the medians and the lanes of the median are not designed for trucks right now. So what is part of the existing condition does not accommodate trucks. Like I say, it's kind of part of that overall plan of what the city has been doing of already routing the trucks to the north. I'm sure if you have any other question about that, the city engineer could answer. But so under the existing condition, you're probably looking at greater truck congestion and blocking of the roadways because the medians do not accommodate them.
Thank you for the clarification. Question for city engineering is, when that median project was completed along Ethanac Road, is there what portion was the road constructed on? Was it constructed on Paris or Menifee side, or was it split 50-50-ish?
It's the center, the boundary between the two cities is actually between the two eastbound lanes. So the northern 3 lanes and the median are in the city of Paris. When you get at the very far west end, up at Getz, to allow a left-hand turn, the median kind of swings out to the south. So the median then is in touches Menifee at the very west end at Getz.
Okay.
But the rest of the time, 3 lanes and a median are all in the city of Paris.
Is that because the city of Menifee may not want to contribute to that portion of the project, or it's...
I was not around at the time when that decision was made.
Okay. So Kenneth, could the truck traffic that is no longer allowed on, would no longer be allowed on Ethanac, would the city of Menifee would they be allowed to continue southbound on Getz Road through Ethanac if they so choose? Excuse me, southbound on Getz Road if they so choose.
So Ethanac Road on the north boundary is in the city of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we designate a no truck route, we would have to make provision to discourage that. And going on the Getz going south, my recollection is it's not a truck route in the city of Menifee, and it's not a truck route in the city of Paris. And so there's no provision on either the city of Paris or Menifee for a truck route on Getz Road.
So what is also the truck route to get to the commercial center along Case Road and the 215 and Ethanac along for the Winco Shopping Center? Is that along Case Road, the side road that runs along 215, or is that actually to get off on Ethanac and make those right turns into that property?
So for the truck route, if it's just exclusively for trucks for Paris, we've been conditioning them to exit off of the Case Road / Bonnie Drive, Highway 74 exit, and that's how they would get to their site in Paris for the industrial development.
And that's how they currently are getting to that shopping center?
For the shopping center, we have some provisions in our code, like if you're just delivering for the grocery store, or you're just dropping off supplies for the Home Depot down there, there's provision to allow people to do such truck stop. the goal of that provision to prevent trucks is to prevent it for the distribution center that has a higher volume of trucks. That's the goal when we developed that ordinance.
And then currently on that southbound at the Ethanac Road, along to the 215 exit, there is a gas station there. The inclusion of allowing that portion of the easterly portion of the 215 would actually still allow access to that gas station through Barnett at that turnaround there, correct?
That is correct, and that gas station is in Paris.
That gas station, it is, that's correct. All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah, Commissioner Lopez.
This is Commissioner Lopez. My question is in regards to the part of the truck route that's staying on east of Barnett. Has there been a traffic study on that intersection, particularly that double traffic lights? I could already see a truck being stuck in the middle and causing a traffic jam with those double lights. I don't know if you guys are trying to keep that there or.
We've done preliminary studies because Barnett and Case don't line up correct, right?
Yes, they don't line up.
They don't line up correctly, and so we've done some preliminary studies, but if it's to be used for trucks, it would definitely need a redesign, I think. You probably have 2 left-hand turn lanes to go south on Barnett, I would think. Something like that would be in order. We haven't done a study to determine exactly how many lanes, because I don't know what to design for.
Well, has there been a consideration of just removing all of that section as part of the truck route?
Well, it's staying in partly because a lot of it is Caltrans right away, right?
Oh, okay, that's not City of Paris.
Right, they can control their own right away,
Oh, okay.
so we can't.
So who would be in charge of doing that change, the upgrades to it? Would that have to be the City of Paris for that intersection?
I think it could be a cooperative project, but whoever needs that update or upgrade the intersection to serve the trucks would probably be the developer that does it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I would add that the impetus for starting that alignment would likely be if someone wanted to build like industrial, such as City of Menifee, if they were to build something, then they would have to do all the necessary studies to figure out that alignment.
So as it stands, it's not even good for a truck route?
As it stands, no.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Quickly, for the sake of those listening and for the rest of the audience, we want to make it emphatically clear the city boundary is the northern portion from the median. So would you make that clear, or is it the city boundary is that median on Ethanac as showing?
The city boundary is the eastbound lanes. It's between the eastbound lanes. So one lane that's going, the furthest south eastbound lane is in Menifee, and then the next lane to the north is in Paris.
Okay.
Then the median's in Paris. Then the 2 westbound lanes are in
Okay.
Paris, et cetera.
Now you know why I asked. See, nobody would know that. So we're saying there's 3 lanes, I believe now. I'm just talking using the median as a thing, and then the other southern side, that first lane, is still part of Paris. I didn't realize that.
The most southern lane is in Menifee.
Yeah, the lane that's closest to the median though.
Is in Paris.
Paris. See, that's the distinction. Okay.
But we acquired 37 extra feet from Green Valley Parkway in order
Okay.
to accommodate.
Okay. Yeah. See, we needed that clarification. I don't think any of us knew that. One of the things I'll only point out this. And you can correct me in each case if I'm wrong in any case. Number one, the Green Valley Specific Plan goes back when I first came to Paris, so that predates anything Menifee did. So at the time when that came in, it was residential. It was not talking industrial to the north. It was talking commercial businesses. To this day, it's still commercial. So we weren't talking in that corridor and where Green Valley Road is coming in. It's still talking about condominiums, apartments, and more commercial development. Because I had the original one. In 2010, they weren't here, I was here, but one of the things that was talking about is making a master plan community. So with that in mind, You go back to 2005, when the general plan was done, all that was taken into consideration. So in the general plan, the EIR, all that was done at that time. That consideration was that with residential, and that aspect of the general, that made that specific plan to the north. So all that was taken into consideration, but it was not a consideration for industrial at the time. So that's, I think I'm going to make that clear that the Green Valley predates all of this. Now, obviously, we had to make changes because California Building Code, things like that. But that was like 1991, 92, just about the time I came. I think I'm glad for the clarification because I didn't realize that the median, I thought the median was the divider, but I didn't know that other lane was the divider because I see if I had to ask a question, you got to ask. Who would know? So now that makes quite a big difference. Other than that, I think that was the only question I had. I think they asked the basic general questions, what the plan is. I think it's laid out here. So it pretty much shows. Now this is, you made some deletions obviously on Case Road because you have to do that. If you know that little corridor at G Street, you have the railroad intersection there, so it becomes a little difficult. Ellis, I think Ellis is just kind of a cutout there. I don't know if that's some future plan development where it comes into Case Road. That might, I'm not sure about that, but Case Road definitely, even where Home Depot is planning to make those changes up to the north. So Case Road is now a truck development, and I see where you have Getz Road going down to San Ysidro River because of those potential developments to the west side. So this is the latest, and this is what you're proposing to add to it, G Street to I-215 and Bonnie Drive. And so that intersection, I think what you're talking about, one of the things is where Metrolink is to the north, and then there's that train intersection where you have the arm going up. That's going to be, that truck route can take you along Case Road all around Winco. And even if you're taking the freeway, you would get off there, and it would go down there's Barnett to whatever they decided with it. Now, one last question. Barnett, and you guys live in that area, to the east is the city of Paris, but to the east of Barnett is Menifee.
So to the east of Barnett is Paris.
Right.
And you look at the map
Right.
on the screen, just leaving
Right.
the screen. At Trumbull Road, then it transitions back into Menifee. So there's kind of this kind of like square shape
Yeah, yeah.
on the south. That's
But Barnett, when you go down to Union 76, Barnett, which is undeveloped, it's a pretty bad road right now.
so
Barnett to the west,
Barnett to the west is Menifee.
Menifee. Okay, so that would be one of those things that a consideration for whatever developer. Okay, so that's another thing for another day. But that particular portion you're pointing out here is not really part of the truck route because it's not. That's just that the developer, whoever develops there, would have to deal with that road. Now the trucks do park. Despite what they tell you, they park at the Union 76. So truck traffic does come down that street and go in that area. So it's not unusual for truck traffic to come off the freeway and go in that area. I practically live at Winco, guys. Okay. But that's not unusual for that to happen. So I think that clarifies it. The map clarifies it for me. Because I wasn't sure. I definitely was not sure about Ethanac. I had no idea. But thank you for that. I don't have any further questions for staff.
I just want to provide one clarification. Just want to make sure that along Ethanac Road, the north side of Paris, all residential.
Right.
The only segment that's commercial is the corner 3 to 5 acres at
Right.
Ethanac and Getz, and
Right.
then that shopping center. That's the only segment that's commercial. Everything else in between,
Yeah.
approximately 2 miles, is all residential.
Right. Okay.
Commercial, right? I heard you
Yeah.
correctly. Ethanac and Getz.
It's all residential.
All
on the north.
residential except for,
The northeast?
Just as the northeast corner of Getz and Ethanac,
Right,
there's
right,
a
okay.
3 to 5 acre commercial portion, and then once you get all the way down to the Winco shopping center, I forgot the name of the shopping center.
it's all residential.
It's all
between two.
commercial. That
Commercial?
everything in between is residential since
Right.
1990 or 1992,
Right.
somewhere around that range.
Right.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions for staff? Okay. At this time. Staff have anything to add? Okay. Didn't want any private conversation? Okay. At this time, we open up the public comment portion. And I believe if we have Zoom, we tend to take them first. Now, I should note, if for those here, and I should have mentioned at the beginning, there is an interpreter. I think I see it back there. Yeah, there he goes. We have an interpreter. If someone needs the services for an interpreter, you're welcome to use them. I'm not sure how that would work on Zoom, but either way, he's here. I want to make sure he's awake. Believe me, he's awake. I go to IT. IT, was there anybody that's on the Zoom?
Yes, Commissioner
Okay.
Hammond. We have a Ryan Drum. Sir, you are unmuted and you have the floor.
Okay, Yvonne.
Hi, my name is Ryan Drum.
Oh,
I
right.
live in the Monument Ranch community.
Okay.
I'm one of the, I think it was 18 that emailed over.
Yeah.
And I support removing it as a truck route. As a father of 2 young daughters that'll ride their bike over to the Starbucks, I'm really concerned with just traffic with big rigs going down that street. I mean, they have a bike lane over there to ride on, and it's just having big rigs in a bike lane with young kids and stuff just seems like it'd be a recipe for disaster.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next,
We have a Bill Blankenship.
Phil, okay.
Sir, you have permission to speak now.
Good evening, Honorable Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Bill Blankenship, representing NAIOP Inland Empire Chapter. NAIOP Inland Empire Chapter is a commercial real estate development association here in the Inland Empire, representing over 300 member companies doing business throughout the region. You know, the industry has enjoyed a tremendous partnership with the city of Paris, and NAIOP has very much strong opposition and objection to the proposed removal of the Ethanac Road as a designated truck route from the westerly city limits to the Barnett Road by the city of Paris. In addition to that, you know, we believe that the removal of Ethanac Road as designated truck route is also contrary to the California Vehicle Code, which precludes a local agency from adopting any regulation that would preclude trucks from accessing their properties. And as we look at this and have listened to this conversation here this evening, I think this process has really lacked the opportunity for the affected landowners to have a thoughtful conversation with the city. So, you know, I think there's a lot of immediate and long-term effects of this proposed action. And to remove Ethanac Road as a designated truck route and deny the project, or alternatively modify the project to allow Ethanac Road to remain a designated truck route. So that's simply what we're asking, is that we would like to see that area remain a truck route. We think that there would be great benefit bringing the property owners that are impacted by this to meet with this city and talk about other solutions and you know, how this can be mitigated, or you know, even look at alternative routes. I heard staff tonight talk about alternative routes. We question some of the viability of those alternative routes, and I think that it's important that you know, we bring everybody together and have that meeting. So as the industry representative, certainly we would pledge to work with staff and ask that the Planning Commission tonight not eliminate Ethanac and look for solutions with the affected property owners so that we can create a win-win. Paris has a long history, as you all know, having that kind of partnership with the industry, and we just implore you and ask respectively that, you know, we find a solution that makes it a win-win. So thank you for the opportunity to make comments tonight. And if you have any questions or if somebody would like to follow up with me, I'd certainly would like to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Hammond, we have a one John Shardlow. Mr. Shardlow, you have the floor here.
Thank you, Honorable Planning Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Shardlow. I'm also with NAIOP IE. Really appreciate the level of depth you've gone into in analyzing all of the documents, taking a break to do so. We are happy that some of the selected letters got responses to comments where your consultants went, you know, line by line, point by point to, you know, address some of these issues. And I think with a lot of the comments tonight, especially the revelation of, you know, Menifee having that southern lane, you know, trucks could could use that, obviously, to go eastbound. There's seems to be a major misunderstanding about the vehicle code section and whether those trucks would still be able to use all three of the additional lanes that are in Paris. I think that needs some additional, analysis. And as Bill was saying, I mean, it does seem like this is a perfect opportunity to have a win-win, to have a discussion with the property owners, to have more discussions with Menifee. Menifee did just adopt a good neighbor guidelines with sufficient setbacks. Really trying to be a good neighbor here. I think there's more that we could do, but the main, I think, misunderstanding throughout the responses to comments is that, oh, they'll just find another truck route. Well, if you're a property owner and you're fronting Ethanac, there's no roadways to get you to the south, meaning Menifee would have to engage in a taking of other people's property to allow other property owners to access other people's parcels and kind of build a roadway network in there to go south. There's hundreds of acres there. And so, I think there's conclusions made that no one's going to be landlocked, but that's not true. And so I just think this is an opportunity for everybody to come together. And we would ask that the Planning Commission refrain from recommending either way and asking that city staff have, community workshops and, stakeholder meetings before proceeding further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And IT?
Commissioner Hammond, it does not look like we have any more public comments.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Now, is anyone from our audience would like to? Oh, I do have a name.
Actually,
you.
Mr. Hammond, at the final bell here, it looks like we have about a few more public comments here. Marvin Norman, you now have the floor, sir. Apologies.
Okay. Was that Norman?
Marvin
Norman, yes.
Okay. Marvin.
Yes, Marvin Norman here with the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice, and we're in support of the item as presented. As the gentleman mentioned, it's not the greatest for bicyclists. It's not great for the community, as has been discussed by the commissioners in terms of just impacts to the community. So we're in support of the item as is presented to limit truck traffic, to keep the trucks on a specific routes and send them to the freeway as fast as possible so they don't have to mingle in the community and cause havoc all over the place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And whoever's next.
We have a one Lonnie Hendricks. You have the floor.
One, okay. Yes, sir.
Neighborhood. And I do have concerns, as one of the residents mentioned. We have kids that ride bikes. We go to the Winco. We exercise going that route. Also, we already have an issue with the trash trucks. With that amount of trucks in our area, that's already congesting our traffic in the AM. Also, I have a question. Does Metrolink have any plans to extend their railway? Because if they plan on using Highway 74, that means they are going to have to make adjustments in that area, which is going to back up the trucking industry and create more traffic in our area. Also, we already have an issue in the AM and PM during the rush hours to where there's a lot of heavy traffic crossing over to the bridge to enter on the other side of Paris. So I just ask for you guys to consider that. And one last thing is that Menifee currently has a project going on with about 650 homes that's going to also create traffic in this area. So I just ask that the city oppose using Ethanac as a truck route. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That is all, Commissioner Hammond.
Okay, thank you very much. We do have a person to address the commission. If I'm not saying it right, help me. Adnan Jaquez? Okay. Forgive me, you can spell your name and state it. Spell your last name for us and then state your name for us.
It's Adrian.
Adrian,
Yeah.
okay.
Last name is spelled Jacquez.
Thank you, sir.
So I've been a resident of the city of Paris for almost 10 years. Lived in the Monument Ranch area. So I do support this amendment. I do not want trucks along the Ethanac Route. And actually, I proposed extending it from Barnett all the way to the 215. It doesn't sound like Menifee wants to be a good neighbor to us. Why extend it just to Barton? I mean, they didn't fit the bill when we widened Ethanac. Now they want to use it. I don't think that's fair. Why don't they route it through their neighborhood, have their residents smell all that toxic fumes that's going through their residence, see if they like it, because I'm not going to like it. A couple of points is, yeah, it's going to create pollution, it's going to create congestion, create noise, eradicate our streets, and it's dangerous, like a lot of people are saying, people that ride bikes, people that walk. Just to let you know that there was actually somebody that was hit on Ethanac. There was I think it was a teenager hit by a car. She survived, but what if it's a truck? She's dead. Another thing is it's going to impact our overall quality of life in that area. I came from Fontana. I've seen the trucks. I've seen the pollution. I don't need a study to tell me how the pollution affects me. I have almost borderline asthma because of all the pollution. I try to get away from that to come over here, and now I'm going to be exposed again to this truck pollution and congestion. I don't like it. And that's basically all I got to say about this.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, we have Deidre Corbin. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, I couldn't.
My name is
Corona.
Hi.
Corona.
I'm Deidre Corona.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a 35-year resident of Paris, and like you, I've seen Paris grow. And especially, there was nothing in the South when I moved here. But now that we're looking at, I don't live in the South. However, I have a couple of children who do, and I spend time over there. But one of the things that, in looking at Ethanac, there's no schools in the South. In the south of Paris, there are no schools. All the schools, they have to pass, the children or the parents or the buses have to pass down Ethanac and go over to the other side of the freeway, even the high school. And anyone could tell you, when they're taking their children to school in the morning, it's already crowded. When they're picking them up, it's already crowded. And it would create more of an unsafe environment for people bringing their children back and forth to school than if there were also big rigs on the road. It was never designed for that many trucks. It was never designed as a truck route since Paris developed it. It used to be, what, a 2-lane road, and now it's a 4-lane road because Paris developed it. And they developed it with the idea that it would handle residential traffic, not trucks. And Paris would be stuck if they allowed trucks from other cities or even from Paris. As we've seen on Ramon Expressway, Paris has been responsible for making repairs whenever there's been too much traffic with trucks. I know right now they have to deal with what we have, but that freeway on-ramp and off-ramp is not really equipped for that amount of traffic. But, you know, that's what we have right now. But it actually is not, even in a car, it's difficult to get off if you're going north, to get off there and cross over Ethanac in order to go west. It's difficult to cross that traffic. Somehow it's not lined up correctly, and it just feels dangerous anytime you cross there. But, you know, it's basically one car could go down the on-ramp either way onto the freeway. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Just for the record, state your name and last name.
Hi, good evening. My name is Hollister Corona, and I'm a resident of Paris for 35 years. And I live on Monument Ranch off of Ethanac. So I support this ordinance. By allowing Ethanac as a designated truck route, this would not be good at all for Paris. So whenever you look at whether they should produce a product, you got to look at whether there's more benefits or consequences. And in this case, there's a lot more consequences, more negativities. So the negatives, by allowing trucks to use this route, Ethanac, it would be more traffic jams, longer drives, more time, slower traffic. It would take a lot longer and would be more dangerous to drive and to also bus our kids to schools. The schools at Romoland School District, we all send our kids to these schools, whether it's for high school or junior high or elementary. We all have to cross through Ethanac if you live in the Monument Ranch area and the other side of the west side of Ethanac, every parent. There would be more stress on the drivers, health problems such as, you know, who knows, possibly just being in traffic. You know how it is, being stuck in the freeway, so that's how it's going to be like in Ethanac. So just think about less sleep, you have to get up earlier, more gas bills, more wear and tear on your vehicle, air pollution, dust particles, gases, possible increase in cancer, asthma for your kids and yourself. It's not safe for the children around the area. There's safety issues. There's gonna be more reckless driving, higher car accidents, higher deaths, higher insurance. The roads are not gonna last as long, so it will cost the taxpayers millions of more dollars to fix the roads. Instead of lasting 10 years, they might only last 5 years with these big rigs, with the big trucks. There's gonna be more pots and holes on the roads, heavier vehicles. There'll also be more sound pollution. There'll be more reckless drivers. Many maybe coming from to work in the warehouses. Menifee residents, they had a chance to vote to allow these big rigs on their south side, and they also voted no. So, you know, why would we want this? With more residents and our small Ethanac Bridge as an off and on ramp, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Allowing Ethanac to be a truck route would make it less desirable to live here. It would affect our home values, our standard of living. I would not feel okay as a father. I have two kids, you know, 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I would not feel okay as a father by allowing the city of Paris to allow these trucks to be on Ethanac Road. We must not allow this. Ethanac track routes, the truck designation removal, this is what we need to do, okay? Not allow this. An alternative for these trucks, it could be, I would say, my suggestion is for them to use the side roads and possibly use McCall and Menifee. That's my advice for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else from the public? And would you state your full name and spell your last name for us?
Of course. Good evening. My name is Anna. Last name is Jaquez, Jacquez, and I live in the Chaparral Ridge. I've been there for 9 years. Not by choice. My husband moved us here. He picked that house. So I just want to say that now that we are investing into our house and getting our pool done, I want to make sure that the kids are okay. My 15-year-old is here, and I know she's not going to like this, but she works at our local drop zone water park, and she's getting ready to drive. So that is a big concern for me, for her to be driving down Ethanac to get to her little water park and do, her little part-time job there. That's number one. Second, obviously, the pollution, the traffic, and the safety concerns. In addition to my daughter, I have two other boys. They're 11 and a 13-year-old, and we love riding our bikes, walking our dog, and that was one of their conditions for getting this dog. I stayed away from being a dog owner for my entire life, basically, but these guys, I told them, if you want this dog, you have to walk it. So we do walk the dog on a daily basis, usually, if it's not raining or extremely hot, but we, go off on Ethanac, walk the dog, we, ride our bikes, and so I oppose with, us allowing Menifee to come use our roads, 3/4 of our roads, and as the commentator, Bill, the second commentator, said that the city of Paris does not basically, we need to work together, be a good neighbors, be in win-win. The other commentator said that as well. Well, where were they when we were, repairing the roads and widening Ethanac Road? Because from my understanding, they weren't there. They weren't being helpful. They weren't being good neighbors to us. They let us, pay that bill and whatnot with our taxpayers. And I do work, and my husband does too, so we are really good taxpayers here. So let them create their own streets if they want to use a route and, make a truck route through their little side of, they have enough revenue, I know, so they can make their own, their own streets and whatnot. So we don't have them in mind. Additionally, here it is. Additionally, on Ordinance B, on the ordinance that we're trying to approve right now with the city, it's for the city to be making it consistent for the changes of the municipal codes. In other words, we're not here looking to satisfy Menifee. We're here for the residents. We're here to want to make our own truck routes for the city of Paris and making sure that these new routes, that the trucks are going to be taking these new routes, not that we're worried about where Menifee is going to have their trucks or their warehouse. Let them figure that out. Let them use their own routes and their own roads. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else is welcome at this time? And there's nobody came to Zoom, right?
No, sir.
Okay. That's it? Okay. Thank you very much. And that's the public comment portion is closed. And we don't need any rebuttal, so we bring it to the commissioners for discussion. You're the guinea pig.
This is Commissioner Lopez. I think considering that Ethanac Road currently is mostly all residential, and there are no projects, no industrial projects that are on that street currently standing. I think it's important that we look at we look for the public health and safety of our residents, and considering that that Barnett is not even suitable for trucks, I wouldn't even be opposed to removing Ethanac entirely as a truck route and having those commercial buildings like Winko's, Home Depot use Case Road as a way of entry for their shipping and their transporting. That being said, I'm supportive of this truck route. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Vice Chair Shively.
So I got several things I'm thinking about. When Green Valley Parkway, when the road expansion was done, we were required to, or City of Paris required Green Valley Parkway to give away another 37 feet of road so we can create a nice parkway, a nice median with nice landscaping. Any additional in addition to the route on Ethanac, would have required additional road widening and additional design and tearing up the existing planters and medians and landscaping to get this acquired. And the fact that the individual wanted to use one truck lane that's on Menifee side is unfathomable to be able to do that because there's two ways down there. I'm kind of curious if the city of Menifee is actually, I believe it's called Cinnamon Ridge, which is a new development they're having on Getz Road. If they're taking any impacts, any questions or any impact from that developer, and whether they would actually like to have truck routes along Ethanac Road with additional 650 homes or so, as it was stated. The impact along, the fact that I did ask Michael for a specific reason because I wanted him to say what the issues are with trucks being on, and the issues with the trucks, the sounds, the vibrations, the fumes, the impacts of trucks being on the road. There's more impacts in being in Paris, in that we actually have many trucks or warehouses on the north side of Paris, and we actually design impacts in Harley Knox Road was impacted on that, and going through the whole process of trying to minimize truck routes in the city of Paris and centralize where we can actually put warehouses, because based off the impact of the March Air Force Base, we're limited to what that space can be, so it actually is warehouses. Where on the south side of Paris, there is no regulations like that minimize what the land zone and land use can be. I understand that many cities want to have the luxury of having warehouses, but this impacts the existing area of the residents, and currently there's residents on that property that will actually be converted in that zone, which they may already sold out to developers in the planning process or not. But the northern portion of it is not not ready for any trucks to be on that road. In fact, that there's only two areas that will be affected by truck routes or having to have trucks, which is the far west side of northeast side of Getz Road, and that will be impacted along with Winco area. But we already have a resolved issue with the Winco area, and I think that us requesting that us to fully remove the truck route from all the way along Ethanac to the freeway is not really doable, because we do have an existing commercial property that uses truck routes and fills up. They use it as a truck stop in that area to currently to service the trucks that are there and provide gas for them or diesel for them. In their policy that was stated while in the letters that the Menifee Good Neighbor policy has three statements here. It's to minimize impacts to sensitive uses, to protect public health, safety, and welfare by regulating the design, location, operation of facilities, and third, protect neighborhood character of adjacent communities. Providing trucks and actually having warehouses on the Menifee northern side of their city is, with these policies, is not abiding by them. So I can clearly see any one of these I can, argue with him, and then it's not, we have, impacts to sensitive uses where we got residents on the north side. That's, and you got residents currently on that northerly property for them. Protect health, safety, and welfare. Well, trucks, as we know in Paris, because we have that issue, has a big issue with health, safety, and welfare with the trucks. And thirdly, to protect neighborly character in adjacent communities. Well, I don't see warehouses, City of Paris does our best to minimize warehouses in communities, in neighborhoods, and doing as to create the good character in adjacent communities. Well, that is not providing adjacent communities between City of Paris and Menifee to provide warehouses on their northern side. So I particularly am in support of this here because of those reasons.
Commissioner Jimenez?
Thank you. So, in looking at this, I asked specifically if Menifee would still have access to the roadways, would they really be limited? And the truth is that they wouldn't. They would still have access to the roadways. There's alternate routes that they could take within their city. And as a good neighbor, if I feel like I'm infringing on my neighbors, I wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't park my car in their driveway. I wouldn't go, I try to not even park in the public street in front of their houses because I feel like that they have the right to that, right? So I feel like as a good neighbor, we try to do what we have to do within our boundaries to maintain ourselves as good neighbors. Also, we're here representing the community. This is the highest turnout we've had for our planning commission where people speak. So I counted, and I didn't count Mr. Drum twice because he wrote a letter and he spoke, but we had 24 people speak. Having 24 people speak they're speaking for their family, they're speaking for their block. Not everybody can be here. We don't have a lot of employment opportunities within our city, so a lot of people are probably traveling home from work, so they weren't able to be here. So our 24 speakers are representing not just their 24 voices, but the voices of the community. And we're here to also do that. And I empathize. I have a 16-year-old who's also learning how to drive, and I wouldn't want her mixing up with the big rigs. Like, it's already terrifying. Being in the car, like, I don't know how many Hail Marys I say every time she's driving, and I pretend to be calm. I hope she's not listening. But I wouldn't want her on the roadway with big rig drivers. Furthermore, my husband is an owner-operator, so he drives a big rig. We don't live in a community where we want to be around the big rig drivers. He drives, he works, he has like the industrial area, that's where he works, but that's not where he wants to live. He doesn't want to be in big rigs. He knows the, consequences. Even for the big rig drivers, they're higher risk for diabetes, higher risk for heart problems. We know all that. But we chose to not live in Fontana, where most of the section is industrial. We chose to live in a community where it's a home community, where my daughters could be outside, where they can go walking, where they can feel safe driving their bikes to the Starbucks, taking their dogs for a walk. We want to live in a community that is a community. We don't want to be infringed in our residential areas by big rigs, especially when in our city we don't have an industrial section. And I heard Kenneth mention that the area in Menifee is not necessarily strictly industrial. It's industrial or business park. So they have the choice of what they want to develop there as well. If they want to make a choice of turning it industrial and having nothing but industrial, that has different layers that they would have to deal with. But I think that us as community members and having so many people speak on this, I am fully in support of having it not be a truck route. I asked about the impact because in one of their letters they stated the more miles traveled. I wanted to clarify that as well, where it actually would limit the amount of miles traveled within our city boundaries. So I wanted to just make sure that all that was on public record, besides it already being in this EIR report and already being in the letters. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And I won't prolong it long. I think I appreciate the presentation by staff. You put together something that's essential for us. Got some new knowledge about Ethanac. Let me say this. I think this was a no-brainer before I even started. So, we can go through the motions, but I'm just telling you right now. And I'm going to tell you some reasons why, so I'm not going to just come out of the sky. Number one, he did what you normally would do even in a courtroom. He takes your own arguments. You see, you put in here minimize impact to sensitive cost. protect public health, safety, welfare. This is Menifee stuff. You don't do that if you make an argument. And protect neighborhood character of adjacent communities. That's their argument. Okay. So all we're taking is the argument that's made by the very people that are now saying to the other ones, well, this doesn't matter. But the argument is the very thing that you're making in your own good neighborhood. That comes back to you. Second, the city has controls, and this commission takes time. I don't think any other commission does what we do. Specifically goes page by page. I read this stuff before. The stuff that's put on later I've read today. But we take the time because we want to be fair and impartial. There are good arguments made on that side, but remember the city boundary is the city boundary. This is the City of Paris Planning Commission. So we have to look at the City of Paris residents. We have to look at what affects the City of Paris. Nothing against what happens down south, but we have to look at what affects us. We have to look at what affects our residents. This is the second reason. In 1991, whenever that was done, it was designed as residential. I don't remember any complaints from Menifee. 2005, general plan was done. EIR, they went to Menifee. Okay. It was stated that it was going to be like this. Residential to the north, commercial to the north. That's when you make your arguments. I tell a lot of people, the general plan was out to everybody, and this was one of those things that does go to other cities. It goes to other county. Then you come to today when now you have residents built. No one signs a disclaimer agreement, oh, by the way, later on we're going to have truck traffic. It's not like the airport vicinity, right? You know airports are flying over you. You know you're next to a train track. So you sign a disclaimer saying, navigation easement, all the other things. This is not the case. This is residential properties built to the north. Just from a practical matter, forget about all the other stuff. You're going to have one lane on Ethanac going east. So, like one person said, the money was put up to do the median, the money was put up to do the lanes, the money was put up to do that. Was Menifee contributing? So if you got all that done and one lane there, it's kind of hard to make an argument. Okay, so as far as what Menifee does in terms of McCall, that's up to them. That's not our purview. Their residents, Barnett, we can deal with Barnett, but that's not our resident. That's not our concern. Now, I would say, regardless of what we do, discussions and all that other stuff should take place at another level. That's no problem because there always needs to be communication going back and forth. That should be the case, but when you're talking about Ethanac with residents and things like that, that's not even a discussion. Not for me. And I know people kind of wait on handed names because what is this commission going to do? Because we can tend to be all kind of, we'll go this way, we'll go that way. Well, we're going to make a decision based upon the best thing for the city of Paris. Let that go for the record. Okay. There's nothing wrong with down there. Menifee has Newport Road, they have Scott Road. They need to deal with their traffic. They need to deal with that McCall Road. If your residents don't mind trucks drive, that's another story. All we're dealing with is Ethanac and what the truck route is here. So I'm looking at the truck route, and the city has proposed this, and because of residential and that kind of, and when I say commercial, we're not talking about industrial there. We're talking about commercial, maybe a CVC, Walgreens, who knows, that kind of thing, which are small trucks, things like that. No one's stopping people from coming in and making construction, if you're construction going in, those kind of things. I mean, that's natural. You're making a delivery to somebody's house because they want furniture. Well, nobody's saying you can't do that. We're talking about making a truck route. Okay. So that's a big difference as opposed to stopping California Vehicle Code. No one's stopping you from making deliveries. No one's stopping people from driving a truck in the area. We're just saying it's not going to be a truck route. Big difference, right? So from that standpoint, I'm not going to prolong this. I think staff has made its presentation. I think beyond that, we pretty much laid out, you answered some questions for me, not only that, but with Getz Road, with Ethanac, and also up into the San Jacinto River, which now is being finalized, because I wasn't sure about that little section there. May need some discussion. South Getz Road is not designed to be a truck route. If you're going to take a truck and go through Canyon Lake area, good luck. You can do it, but it's narrow up there, so I don't know that you want to do that. But if you're brave, want to take an 18, I guess. It's not just driving a car over there is bad enough. But anyway, I pretty much set And I think I've said pretty much what I need to say. I don't know if anyone else has any discussion, but I think pretty much I agree with my colleagues, and this was really a no-brainer for me. Okay? So with that, why isn't this on the screen? Wait a minute. Oh. Requested action. I was looking for that. Adopt resolution number 22-14, recommending the City Council adopt negative declaration 2372 and approve Ordinance Amendment 22-05069 and General Plan Amendment 22-05068. And is there any motions? Moved by Vice Chairman Shively, seconded by Commissioner Jimenez.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes,
With the vote of 4 yes, this motion passes.
thank you. Thank you very much. And it really finally cooled off in here. It was a little warm there for. Oh boy. Okay. Item number 8 is the business items. I don't think we have any business items. Okay. If there is, let me know. I don't think there is. And item number 9, public comments. Anyone who wishes to address the Planning Commission regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. Either please walk up to the podium or those that are on Zoom and wait for the chairperson to recognize you. Oh, gosh. Sorry about that. Please speak clearly, give your name, spell your last name. All we ask is that you at least state your full name and spell your last name in the accurate recording in the minutes. And for those on Zoom, you have 3 minutes, and for those coming up, we have 3 minutes. If I turn this off.
Chair Hammond, there's 0 participants on the Zoom call.
Okay, thank you very much, and I think there's 0 participants out there. Okay, with that, we end the public comment portion. We move on to commission members' announcements or reports. Who is calling me? Oh, okay. Commissioner Lopez.
This is Commissioner Lopez. So 2 weeks ago, I was able to attend the State of the City address. It was a pleasure that was my first time attending, so it was a pleasure meeting a lot of the public officials that represent the IE. It was a huge turnout, and I think it was a huge success. It was a great honor seeing all the great things that Paris has done, all the projects that we've been working on, and all the community engagement that we've been doing. So it was a good experience going to that event. I also wanted to congratulate the graduating class of 2022. My brother was one of the seniors that graduated from Orange Vista. And I know the kids are about to go on summer break this Friday, so I just want to wish them a great summer, a productive summer as well. And besides that, I hope everybody has a good night.
Thank you very much. Whoever wants to go. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to bring something up. I was driving on Ryder, and the speed limits on the street don't always match. Like, there's a speed limit, and I don't remember which way they went because I was driving, but there's a speed limit on the floor, and then there's a sign, and there's like a 5 mile per hour difference. So it's a little bit confusing. So I went right in the middle. No, I'm just kidding. But like, there's 2 areas where it doesn't match, and I think it's the new developments where we put up the new signs, and the floor speed limits don't match the sign. I drove by Little Caesars on my way over here, and that little shopping center and the warehouse, the shoe place, and the KFC, they're busy. It was so nice to see. Like, there was a long line for Little Caesars. There was a long line for KFC. There were people shopping at the shoe store. So it was really, really nice to see that we have things that our community did want. So it's beautiful to see. Also, I went to the State of the City as well. It was great because all of the Planning Commission was there, and it brings pride to see all the amazing things that our city is doing, to see those videos where our council members were speaking to different parts of the presentations was really nice because we put a face to a voice, we put a face to who's representing us. And, it felt nice to be recognized as well. Mayor Vargas gave us a little shout out, and it was really, really nice. It felt good. Also, congratulations to the class of 2022. These kids have been through so much, and I think, they really owe it to themselves to celebrate and do things, and I'm hoping everything goes well for everybody. Vacation for Valverde starts on Friday. I'm hoping all the families enjoy their vacation, well-deserved time off. Students have been working really hard. I know it's hard for families to be working on getting kids to school, picking them up, coordinating after-school events. Going back to that rhythm of life that we had before the pandemic was a little bit hard to get readjusted. We forgot how to do some things, and it's nice to get back into the rhythm of our everyday lives.
Thank you. Vice Chair Shively.
I do also want to congratulate the class of 2022. They've been through a lot of things, and I think they'll be successful in life with the experiences they've had in the last 2-3 years. I wish them well as they move forward in their next endeavors. I do have a kind of question for code enforcement, and I don't think it's really being enforced, or if it even can be enforced, because I don't know if any laws or regulations that say whether you can park into EV spots or not. I don't think you can. If you're not an EV vehicle, if you can or not, I don't think it's enforceable if someone does do that. So just a question for code enforcement.
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the IT people for keeping me on track. In addition to the fact that the videography and all done at the State of the City was first rate. Forget about the news media. You could probably replace the news media people because it was so professionally done that quality, if they're not given enough, we're going to give them some recognition. And I just want to go on the record. I really appreciate the way they did that. And I know he's back there. He's probably saying, that Commissioner Hammond's nuts. But they put up with me, and I appreciate it. I appreciate Ryan, too. He's doing triple duty. Don't ask for more money, okay? He's doing triple duty, and I know he does a great job. One of the things I appreciate, too, is this commission. We don't just do things. We actually get involved. We actually read it. We're impartial. We try to give our best opinions. They don't have to be perfect, but at least I do appreciate the members of this commission and their contribution. Don't ever think it's less than or because I've been around, well, it's equal. It's just I've been around longer so I can say more. But other than that, it's really a great job. I appreciate our director, too, who has a lot of hats on. Maybe one less when he gets manager. But he's not saying anything, so I guess he likes all the 3 salaries, too. But I do appreciate it. And believe it or not, I appreciate our city attorney, who always looks at me like, what are you doing, And but you'd be surprised, when we went to the League of California Cities, we had some city attorneys, and I'm like, you ought to be glad you have the one we have here. Because it keeps it online. We don't have to be perfect. We know we're not, but we appreciate it. We just want to say that because we don't want to just ever go and not thank our engineer. We beat you up every now and then. We're nice to you because Stewart's there, so we were nice to you today. But a lot, I think, like Kentucky, I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's good. Not going to do it all the time, but it's really good. They fix it up over there. One of my concerns, and that's probably at the city council level, is the weeds that go around the freeway on ramps that make the city look so bad. I mean, when you get off on Nuevo, there's just weed, and we know Caltrans never going to do it. RCTC, good luck. Somebody's going to, I mean, if you get through the bureaucracy for Caltrans, 10 years from now, they'll clear the weeds, right? But those are kind of things that are just minutia, but that's that joint county, city, whatever. It's really, but when you come in the city and you see that, that's a really bad thing to look at. I mean, those weeds are really looking bad there. I think our truck corridors and all that, as this is implemented, Ramona, you know, you still see a couple of trucks parked there in front of the Carl's. But I think maybe we can get an update on the signs. To our engineer, I don't know where we are with the signs. Let's say you can't park on these streets. That will at least give the sheriff or the police department some, you know, means of going after them, because they could right now say you're not supposed to park there, and they'll say, "Where's the sign?" "Oh, where isn't it?" "I'm gonna park here all I want now." So I think if there's an update on where the signs are we progressing toward? I mean big signs, not small ones in little truck. Big signs that say you cannot have truck traffic on this street. That would be helpful. So that's it for me. I can say a lot more about it. We want to get out of here. But yes, thank you to the class of 2022. Actually gets to perform in public, right? They actually get to walk. And the other ones are like my daughter. None of that all the Zoom stuff. Get out of here. You want to see and go.
Had a Zoom graduation.
Yeah, see, yeah. But anyway, that's it for me, and I turn it over to our Director of Development Services, reports and information.
Good evening, Chairman Hammond and members of the Planning Commission. I was wondering if you were going to ask any question related to our city engineer, and you did. And fortunately, he's here tonight for a special occasion. And so related to the truck route, we needed his professional input. But I will ask him to respond to some of your questions, and then I will come back and give you some updates.
So our approach on the no truck routes was basically as you come into the intersection to let you know which ways were truck routes. So you know you could turn left and be on a truck route, or right, or keep going straight, you would know. I think the no truck route signs on Ramona, I don't think we plan for enough of them. I think we need to have them one each way at Webster, at Indian, at Paris, at Evans. And right now, I think we only have like 2. And so we need to really up our game there. And we've talked about it with Public Works, and we need to get the signs ordered and installed. We talked to the sheriff, who, the Paris Police. They also mentioned the same thing, that it's easy to get on the route. If we don't have signs all the time, it's harder for them to enforce and easier for a trucker to get on Ramona, for example. So that's kind of where we are. We do need to add more signs, particularly on Ramona.
Yeah.
Okay, and I will continue with my updates. And thank you, Sue, for being in attendance this evening. In regards to the upcoming Plan Commission meeting, we do have a meeting on June 15th, so just kind of program that into your calendar for an upcoming meeting. That's just in 2 weeks. As for just your vacation planning, we would not have a meeting on July 6th. It's the 4th of July weekend, a week. And so if you really want to have one, we can figure out a way to do it. But, for now, we will not have a meeting on July 6th, Planning Commission, so you can plan accordingly. And if you need to take some time off, this is a good opportunity to do so. Just real quickly, on the ICSC meeting that we had in Nevada, it was a successful meeting. I can't divulge too much information other than to say that it was a successful meeting. There's more interest in commercial developers wanting to be in Paris, knowing where we're at and how active our resident development is happening. As part of that meeting, Panera has committed that they are going to go in Paris. They submitted their application. And so it will be in the Paris de Plaza. So those are great, exciting news. And, we're moving past that kind of breaking point where people are actually coming to us to say, hey, we would like to find sites in the city of Paris. So those are really exciting news. Beyond that, I have no further information for you this evening. I wish you have a good evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. And we appreciate the staff, and we appreciate IT, and we appreciate I don't know if he's still there, the interpreter's gone.
No,
but
he's there.
He's there? Oh, yeah, we really appreciate you. Thank you. And appreciate you guys showing up and playing an active part. And we will see you in 2 weeks. I don't think there's anything else. If there any, and we're glad to see Sylvia back, too. Oh, Sylvia did come back, so I hope she's doing okay as well. And onward and upward. And with that, we will have an official adjournment. And I don't think there'll be anybody objecting to adjourning, right? So, you know, we only come here for the candy, right, Ryan? Okay.